Given the fact that all gold harvests in the whole world is so limited, how would it be possible to establish a currency supported by the existence of gold?
Well, I'll say this first of all too. I think that it has to be gold and silver, for one. But that just means that it requires less gold. You know, less. We think in terms of dollars, and we even are programmed to think of the value of gold in dollars, where really and truly what it used to be, especially back in ancient civilizations, it was you thought of it in terms of weight. So instead of an ounce, you'd have a much smaller amount to buy that loaf of bread, a much smaller amount to buy a loaf of bread. So it's just you use it because there's less of it out there. You use less to buy what you need to buy. You don't have to have a large quantity of it to use it to purchase things. It just means that even the gold flakes will buy you more. Page 2.
Hey, I'm Catherine. You're a believer in limited government. What specific steps did you take to reduce the size of government?
I would actually, if I had my choice, I would abolish about 98% of federal government. If you want to have an effect on government, you're going to have an effect on local government much more so than centralized control. Eliminate the U.S. Department of Education, U.S. Department of Energy, U.S. Department of Agriculture, FBI, ATF, DEA. I would also, if it was up to me, we would not spend time trying to pass new laws, even at the state level. We'd spend time repealing existing laws. I think that, like I said before, I think that drug laws are oppressive. I think that a lot of regulations that we have in place are oppressive and counter to businesses, counter to production. The fact that you can't just go sell something on downtown on the sidewalk, you have to apply for a license to do that, which means you have to ask the government for permission, is insane to me. If I want to sell something, somebody wants to buy it, isn't that between me and them? I think I know there are a lot of people I deal with that confuse them because, especially when it comes to things like drug laws, they think, well, you don't want drug laws, you want everybody to do drugs. No, I would be the kind of person that would advocate for abolishment of the laws, and then once the laws are abolished, I'd be advocating for people to not use them. I would eliminate the vast majority of the military because I think that oftentimes armies have a tendency to be in, and our founding fathers believed this too. They didn't really want us to have a standing army because they typically stand against liberty and are a major threat to liberty. I think that we shouldn't be meddling overseas in other people's business. It's up to them. We should be worried about defending our piece of ground, and that's about it. So you could reduce, I would eliminate entitlement programs, things like Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, primarily because the private sector can do it a lot better and a lot cheaper. And if we didn't have the powers that be robbing all of us of the value of our money, we'd all be able to buy a lot more. We'd be able to afford things like health care and stuff a lot more. When you really start to peel back the layers, you realize that the tentacles of government, when you follow this, when you look at what's happened, it's more often than not the problems that we won't solve, that we go to government and ask them to solve, were caused by some kind of government interventionism along the way to begin with. We all make better decisions for ourselves than anyone else can make for us. So to propose that somehow, some way, some central authority can say what's better for someone else, to me, is an insane concept that they don't even know. So that's just a few of the ways that list goes on and on. The state level, I don't believe in. I don't think we should have SLED at the state level. Because they're not beholden to anyone. I think the sheriffs are the primary legitimate method of law enforcement because they're elected, they're accountable to the people, they're not appointed by some bureaucrat who decides they like them or is a buddy or whatever. We have more direct control over what happened. And so many other local city law enforcement is redundant. If you've got county law enforcement, you don't need city law enforcement. You don't need state law enforcement. That's also redundant. Plus, they're not holding it to anyone. So, I would eliminate probably about 98% of the federal government, and about 80 to 90% of the state government too. If it was up to me.
Why is it that the elites in this country are the most committed to large expanse of government?
It's all about control. It's all about control and power and maintaining their hold over people. And draining the people dry of the means of production is the other thing. If they can, one of the ways you've seen in the last couple of years is the central banks got bailed out. All the other ones, they got collapsed. They collapsed, or they were taken out of it. The FDIC came in and shut them down and said, "You're insolvent." By very nature, every bank out there is insolvent. It's just the way banks are. It's called fractional reserve banking. They're all insolvent. So the idea that the government comes in and shuts one down and says you're insolvent is insane to me. They're all insolvent. So but what happens is they ultimately, those assets either get sold or they get absorbed by another bank. So it's like taking a big rake and pulling all that wealth and means of production and power towards a lot of people think we have a democracy or we have a republic. Ultimately, we kind of have a bit of an oligarchy in this country and in most countries. That's the kind of the trend is towards oligarchy. So, and that's power. That's controlled by a few powered elite and powered and moneyed elite. And those powered and moneyed elite, just like if it was me, if I was one of those people, I'd probably want a little bit more. So that's ultimately what it is. The sad thing is that we don't see it. The sad thing is that we're all enslaved and we don't even notice it. You don't have the right to opt out. If I don't want to participate, if I say, okay, hey guys, I don't want a problem with you, I don't want to cause you any problem, I just don't want to do what you're doing. I don't want you to take my money. I don't want you to tell me what to do. I just want to stay on my own property and mind my own business. You can't. You can't do it. How much you guys follow the news? You see the news about the Amish people? The FDA came in and raided them because they were selling unpasteurized milk. Well, if I want to sell unpasteurized milk and somebody wants to buy it, isn't that our business? Why is it that we accept the idea that the government comes in and tells you no? If I was to go and tell them no, I would be put in jail for theft and whatever else, a lot of things. But because it's an agent of the government, it's okay. So So we're all enslaved to this system and to the powered elite, and none of us see it until you try to get out, until you try to opt out. And that's to me what's unfortunate is that we could stop it if we all said no, but you can't get everyone to say no because there are a lot of people that benefit from it. Even if they aren't the power elite, they still benefit.
Hi, I'm Brittany. If you believe government overtaxes businesses, what is your position over whether South Carolina should give Amazon a sales tax exemption?
That's to me, it's not. I don't think they should be giving anyone tax exemptions, but I think that we should be eliminating taxes. So I've had people that know me say, "Well, you're in favor of taxes because you don't want Amazon to have an exception." No, I want everyone to have the exception, not just Amazon. So that's. I don't think that. I think that. Well, literally, what it is when the government says, "We're going to give you favoritism," and not give you favoritism, that's fascism. That is government using confiscated money. And understand that government doesn't create anything. The only money government has is what it's taken from all of us.